Coromandel Peninsula is a 90-kilometre-long spit of rugged landscape poking out of the North Island, sitting in between the Bay of Plenty and Auckland's Waitemata harbour. It forms the northeastern flank of the Firth Thames and the southern Hauraki Gulf. This area's economic mainstays are aquaculture, agriculture and tourism. Owned by the Bull family, Sea Products 1998 Limited is a homegrown success story in aquafarming and seafood processing. Supporting the business, the company has just purchased their third R Series Scania to service the mussel and oyster farming and processing operations, in turn keeping this vibrant business humming. This month we jump on board with the team and see what it takes to get their product to plate. As the barges come in, the onboard cranes unload the product directly to wharfside. From there, pin and bomb use fork hoist to load it onto the trucks. The product is either in bulk bags or sacks and stillages. The trucks also carry whatever's required in the back loads to keep operations going. Timber for growing frames, buoys, mussel rope, virtually all manner of aquafarming material. The peninsula is full of roads that were built in an era where the terrain and lack of machinery to move it governed the final placement of the tar seal. What you end up with is state highways that twist, wind and switch back around a mix of rocky outcrops and pahurakawa trees. Our journey out from the mussel barge terminal situated at Tikuma Bay to the intersection with State Highway 25 is first evidence of this. Highway 25 heading south of Thames, you immediately start to climb, then it's a brief reprieve as you drop down into the settlement of Manaia. Then it's climbing again, all the way to the summit of the Kirita Hill under the shadow of Castle Rock. From the vista at 225 metres above sea level, you now plummet to the rocky shoreline of Wilson's Bay, via a descent that rivals the crib wall on the Arthur's Pass, so gear selection and retardation levels need to be considered early in your approach. The journey to Thames is only 44 kilometres, however in that distance you will alter course left from right 427 times, making it a definite challenge for those with a touch of motion sickness. The Sea Products line haul fleet comprises of 3 R Series Scanias, a 2012 R560, 2017 R620 and the new R620 NTG. The 2 R620s being the frontline trucks, with the older R560 now being used for overflow and backup. Carl Pin Tahuya and Stephen Bom Tahuya are locals with strong connection to the Coromandel and pilot the 2 R620s for Sea Products. The trucking genealogy of the Tahuya family on the rugged Coromandel Peninsula is well respected, with their dad Wally starting the Coromandel to Auckland freight run in the late 60s for local businessman Bruce James, then later becoming an owner-driver for Thames Freight Lines Limited. The family grew up collecting produce off the peninsula, the likes of wool bales out of Kennedy Bay destined to become lineal metres of Axminster, then delivering general freight along the coast road as well as within the Coromandel township. In terms of trucking in this part of the country, along this road, Sea Products could not entrust their equipment with better hands. The truck service company farms in both the Coromandel and Opua in the far north. One of the more common runs is to the company's processing plant situated at Drury in South Auckland, a 260-kilometre round trip from the Coromandel terminal. Here the product is unloaded for processing, either preparation to deliver to market or the next stage in its growth cycle. Salt water that leaches out of the inhabitants en route is caught in tanks under the decks and trailers, and then it is drained while the trucks are stopped at either end. The spec of the 2 R620s is near identical. Both run the 16-litre Scania V8 and Euro 5 trim, rated at 456 kilowatts, 620 horsepower and 3,000 newton metres, 2,213 pound-foot of torque. Transmissions, you find the GRS 0905R 14-speed OptiCruise AMTs connected up to 19-tonne rear ends, riding on Scania spring and airbag rear suspension. The famous Scania R4100D 5-stage retarder is a fabulous tool in these hills. Both trucks are fitted with adaptive cruise control, active emergency braking and hill hold. Lane departure is not required on these trucks working in this country because, like so many of our more remote state highways in New Zealand and some of our more rugged country, the trucks don't always fit. So the skill level required by the drivers is exceptional, and the track record these two guys have earned around these parts speaks for itself. Incredibly enough, both of these big bangers average over 2 kilometres per litre. In terms of controlling the drivetrain, the preferred approach for PIN is manual in the tough country, auto power on the coast road, and auto economy when the going gets easier, whereas Bomb drives his in full manual virtually the entire time. The new NTG is fitted with the air suspension option on the front end as well. This made for an interesting comparison between the two. At times the NTG had a slightly firmer feel to it over the spring and shock setup and pins unit. The NTG has an incredibly direct feel to the steering, it's feather light and goes instantly where it is pointed, so an incredibly easy truck to position on the road. It's a superbly balanced truck, and the instant you dictate a new direction on the steering wheel, that's where it goes, said New Zealand Trucking Magazine editor Dave McCoy. Very impressive feedback from the entire combination. Sea Products 1998 Limited from Coromandel, a business that is based around the production and distribution of a time-sensitive and precious live product. For Sea Products, the decision to run with the R Series Scanias and have them piloted by two members of the Tahuia family has proven to be a perfect combination. A truck that is engineered for the task, along with operators that learnt the ins and outs of transportation from their dad, himself a master of the industry, who instilled unwavering work ethic into his boys, that are now in turn passing the family craft on to the next generation, with Pin's sons Jonathan and Nathan now out there in the industry as well. Fair to say, Wal would be extremely proud. For the full story on these sweet, seafaring Swedes, then catch a copy of the June 2020 issue of New Zealand Trucking Magazine on sale now. Thanks so much for your support, and until next month, take care, keep your distance, and travel safe.